Develop the knight, see if we can practice the stuff we need to practice. We'll just try and go for the familiar, keep the familiar. I know I keep mentioning the familiar, but that is the key thing, because when we're playing over the board, we take ourselves out of familiar territory because we're overestimating the opponent's skills, overestimating their position on the board, when in reality it's a simple case of just keeping familiar with the moves that you're familiar with when I'm playing online. Because the worst case scenario is always when I bring the game back home after playing OTB, then you look at it and go, oh, I would not do that if I was playing online. So let's bring the online practice into the over the board game and bring the over the board psychology into the online play as well, which is patience and not being reckless. Not that I don't feel like I'm being reckless anyway, but it's making sure that I'm using the psychology in the over the board games that I've learned now, and using them also in the online games, which is not taking too many risks. We're going to push here, as we know, just to open up the bishop, either attacking here or x-raying through to the queen. So this is a pretty normal opening. And we're on move 6. And I know when I'm playing over the board, and especially if I'm playing the higher rated players, because I'm usually the lowest rated player within the tournaments, which I don't have a problem with because I have no fear now of playing anybody. And this is why we've gone into the open tournament now. And that's only based on the fact that, well, I didn't get blown out of the water when I was playing in the intermediate and playing in the major section. So it's made me feel a little bit confident that, oh, well, I may as well just go in the open and see what happens there. And if I don't get blown out of the water there, then I'll carry on just doing the open type tournaments. And for me, I'm always counting the moves, you know, how many moves we make in the game. And if I get to 13, then I'm really pleased. Because I'm always thinking, well, they're going to blow me out of the water in 5 moves. So like now we've got up to move 7, but these are the moves that really do make the game or break the game. So we could bring the bishop here, x-raying through to the queen, but it's just going to get chased around. So I'm happy doubling my pawns here. Over the board, I'd be thinking, oh, don't double the pawn, don't double the pawns, you'd be giving them a strength and stuff and all that business. Online, as you can see, I play this move quite frequently. But over the board, I would probably go, oh no, let's just go next way through to the queen and let them chase us around a bit. And then we end up in this sort of position like this. And it's all, well, I wouldn't normally play like this, you know, when I bring the game back. So this is how I normally play. I don't mind doubling the pawns here. I know it's a weakness, but we can also try and make it a strength, putting pressure towards the king area, because it's a half open file. So they've gone for it. So I have to bring that into the over the board game and not overthink the fact that, well, it is doubled and they're going to do X, Y, and Z. They may not. And plus the position doesn't warrant me worrying about that. Knight's probably looking to come here to attack the pawn, which is what they usually would do. And it's making space then for the queen to try and squeeze here, probably moving here first to come here to attack the pawn here. So that that will be their whole focal point of this particular game now. So what can we do to circumvent it? Obviously we can move the queen here. Is there anything else that can protect the pawn? Not really. This knight would be able to, but it's the pawn is going to be taken. So it's actually gone with the queen attacking, so he's going to double up the attack. So we move the queen here, so he's going to double up the attack with the knight here. is there, like we said, is there anything else that can defend that pawn? So it looks like the pawn might be going unless we push this pawn. And I think that's probably going to be the better move to make, because that is what they're designing. It's also attacking this pawn with the queen. So there's a lot of things happening. But we're going to push this pawn. So greedy munching the pawn here. We can take. Obviously they're going to take it back. They're also on our knight when the greedy munch, so we may have to defend the knight, or we can move the knight to attack. And the first few moves of the game, you see how it's all just kicked off. And for me, it's like trying to practice the openings as best possible, getting used to that rhythm type thing. And it looks like we've given them... They're going to be a pawn up in this game, but does it improve their position on the board? That is the key thing that we have got to remember. So we've already covered off the fact they're going to be coming here. They're not going to attack there, so obviously when we go and attack the queen, maybe they come back again to attack the knight because the knight's got no protection. Then we can push this pawn onto the queen, and the queen is defending the knight. If they forget themselves, we can take the queen off the board if they take the knight. But very mindful, this pawn is still going to be under attack from this knight at some point. So I'm weathering the storm of being down a pawn, maybe even 2 pawns, but I'm hoping that I'm going to be in a better position in the longer term. They've taken the pawn first. They've not gone for the pawn at this moment in time. We could go for a queen exchange, but I think they'll just take the pawn. So I think they're playing a nice kind of strategical thing of, well, we're going to get this pawn anyway. We'd already resigned ourselves to the fact of being down a pawn. We were thinking maybe 2 pawns, but it looks like they've got like a 2-on-1 here. So that 2 pawns thing might work for them. We'll take with the queen, and like they'll take 1 here. They've got a 2-on-1 here, don't forget. And they've also got this pawn here as well with the queen. There's a lot of things going off. Oh, they've actually taken. He's still got the 2-on-1 on the pawn. There's going to be the pawn up or 2 pawns up, whichever. And this pawn here is going to go as well. So we could take this with take the queen with the pawn. The rook, well, maybe the rook's not going to take. Knight takes, rook takes. He's on the bishop. Bishop comes here. Like we said, does it improve our position? Are we down a pawn? Let's just take here. We did say 1 or 2 pawns, but we're looking for a better position on the board. Whether it's better or not, don't know. Okay, gonna just take. Bring the bishop attacking. Yeah, so they're +1 at the moment. These pieces aren't developed at the minute, so a bit of tempo win, but what can we do with that? We'll be looking to exchange off the rook, but he's obviously just going flying back, and bishop's going to be supporting. Okay, so they have gone back. So we're just going to challenge the rook to see if there's any exchanges. And as we know, well, for us, it's not about trying to claw that pawn back. It's trying to get an improved position on the board. As we always say, just because you're a pawn up doesn't mean you've won the game. So we're at the start of the end game. His king is obviously coming across because that's the only piece that's not going to lose any tempi. Oh, he's okay, so he's taken. The king comes across just to defend itself. I hope it doesn't, because then we'll get a back rank mate. Or the bishop moves, actually, just to give them some space so that they can get the rook out eventually. I think we'd attack it with the bishop. Obviously his knight then moves and his rook defends, but we'll take it off the board anyway. But that's the tunnel vision thought process. So I'm glad I'm talking it through. When I'm saying, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that, then that kind of sets the movement that I'm going to make. But in reality, I need to take a seat back and just take a look and think, well, what's the better move? Is that the better move? Just recalculate. If you do preemptive stuff in your brain, it actually happens. Yeah, so the bishop's come there. So we said we were going to be attacking the bishop just to try and get it away from there. If he did knee-jerk reaction take, then we would get a back rank mate. But it does give them time to move their knight. Their rook, sorry. No, the knight, yeah. So we go here. But if he moves the knight, we'll take the bishop. So move the bishop, then the king moves across. Yeah, so that's pretty safe. Knight could come here. Attack this pawn. Just drops the pawn. Rook comes up to attack the bishop and the pawn. Pawn pushes down onto the knight. Knight takes the pawn, but then we have that rubbish situation there. The rook will not survive. Knight comes here, pushes the pawn. I bet you it is still that. I'm going to attack it. I'm going to attack it. You never know, they might take it and we might get the back rank mate. Fingers crossed. It's highly unlikely. The king is moving here. Do we actually take the bishop if he does do that? Oh, he's actually attacked us with the pawn. Well, do we take it? Gets the knight here. We're still being a bit of a menace, attacking the knight. Don't think the rook will come and defend. I think the knight will want to look after itself. Probably jumping here or jumping to here or something. But this pawn is under attack, so maybe the rook does come and defend. Giving time for the king to come over and attack our rook. We get our knight up. King comes across, rook puts a check on. Something like that might work, might it? Let's just take. Get the rook up. I think he's going to say, well, I'm up a pawn, so I don't mind losing this pawn. He's going to move his knight. But, you know, like I said, probably come here. Knight comes here. Pawn doesn't have to stay there. It can actually hit the knight. We're back in that same situation again, aren't we? So it's the knight with the pawn. Knight takes pawn. King comes across for the rook. Rook can just come down, can't it? Rook can just come down. Yeah, okay, let's jump it up. One of them's hitting it. This one. One of those. Does he move the king to the rook first? Oh no, we can just take the pawn with the rook. they've moved the knight. Alright, so they put a lot of thought into it, and we can see this. Can definitely see this coming down to attack the pawn here, or it can go here to attack the pawn. So they're thinking if we take this pawn, we can take this pawn with the rook. Take this pawn, does he comes down for this pawn, we hit it, comes down for this pawn, we go up, maybe it's not going to be that way. Put a lot of thought into that, so I might trap it. Does it get trapped? So if we go this way, then he goes, right, boom, you're not coming back in the game again. You're not going to get this pawn. Could do, couldn't he? If we take this pawn first, then he does the dance like we thought, maybe. I don't know. Can defend when if he's doing all that sort of stuff. So I'm gonna but then again we are giving him the file. That's the annoying thing, isn't it? You know, we take and then his rook comes here and we've given him the file. Suppose the king can come here. What's the plan with the knight then? Dancing, dancing. I'm going to take the pawn. Oh, do you know there's a mistake? It's a mistake. Oh, just saw it as I put it there. And then the king can just take. I'm going to have to go here like this. He takes, and then we're going to have to take here like this. Oh. Oh, that was... Didn't calculate all the way through. Look, straight away. Alright, well, at least we've worked out a way. We're going to go, and we'll be a pawn up, but is our knight trapped? Not yet. So here. Oh, dearie me. Special times. That was like that thing I was talking about earlier, where doing that preemptive sort of thinking. Although we did think it through, we said we didn't want to come here because we didn't want to get trapped, but then we still made this move. But we should have just looked a little bit further to think, well, what could actually go wrong? But for a very brief moment, we're +1. I think we're getting trapped, so we need to try and skedaddle out of here. He starts getting fancy with his pawns. So yeah, he's starting to attack now. And then we did say probably come in here. Going to work his way around the back to get my pawns. Eee. Scary times. So you can, well, safest place is here, I think. Obviously going there is going to get taken. He can come here as well. So these two places, he's going to be attacking our pawn. And we've kind of worked out in the calculation, but then after that, depends where he's going from there. Yeah, so he's attacking the pawn. We could push right up or just push here, because we'll be supporting this pawn. But then he's going to come here, he's going to be attacking the pawn. I'm going to push right up. Just to block our knight though, you see, because we're coming here. We don't have a space to go to. And we'd have to move this to make space for the knight when the king comes over for it. It's actually giving us space to actually move the knight. We could lock it down here. Our knight doesn't still have space. It could still get trapped because the king can just defend and then it's out of the game. But I suppose we can push this pawn and then get over here. His knight, oh no, his knight's got our pawn. Ah, his knight's got our pawn. Gonna have to take. Yeah, he's got our pawn. Down. Down. Up. But then my knight's not going to be protected. Because I can take his pawn. Down, looking to protect the pawn, but the king comes across anyway, or he goes straight for it. Okay, let's give it a try. Yeah, the king's come down first. Yeah, doesn't want us to get the fork. If we go dancing for the king, he's just gonna squish my knight. Maybe here. And for my knight, I'm gonna have to push this to make space for the knight coming here. And that pawn's got no support on it. Yay. King. Can't come for it just yet, so he'd be there, but then he's got my pawn. Got my pawn. Goes there. Okay, if we move the king, is the king fast enough? Go there. No, because the knight is blocking that way, so I won't be able to get to protect it. Only piece that can defend it is pushing this pawn and getting my knight here. But I didn't really want to do that. Now this pawn's going. This pawn's definitely going. I'm gonna have to push it here to stop the king from getting in somehow. I have to push this to stop the king from coming in. Oh, you're joking me. Oh. Well, that was made a bit hard work of that game. But interesting how we came back again. And it was just positional play. It was really a draw, I think. I think for a long period it was a draw. Even when we were the pawn up, I think it was a draw. Let's just kick back and see what the machine says. Yeah, +1. Yep. So it was always a draw anyway. It's just a bit of a pain losing the pawn, thinking that, you know, hey, you might get a bit of a chance of gaining an advantage, but it was a draw anyway. We'll just kick a bit further back just to, yep, so I've got the +1. Yeah. Yeah, so as far back as there, it's still a draw. So we can't beat ourselves up. We played okay. Shall we just go right to the beginning and see how badly we maybe did something? Let's squeeze through here. Oh yeah, so this was when we ended up being the pawn down type thing because they went greedy munching for the pawns and stuff, but we quite freely will say just because you're a pawn down doesn't mean you've won the game. Case in point where we were a pawn up and the machine's showing we weren't winning, it was a draw. You have to be careful about that mindset of thinking just because you're a pawn up that you're winning. And this is where we lose the pawns and stuff, is it? Yeah, not yet. Yeah. There. Yep, okay. Right. And just looking at the actual computer, it's showing +1 for the opponent. But have a look at the gauge bar. It's showing -0.4 for us. Confirming in our own brains that just because you're a pawn up doesn't mean you're winning. Even the computer's saying, well, really, you're not winning even though you're a piece up, a pawn up. It's got to balance it out, that thinking of, well, okay, I'm a down a pawn. It does help, you know, in the end game. It does help if you are the pawn up and there's nothing else on the board and it's all, you know, it's pretty straightforward that, you know, you're going to fly through with that pawn and it's going to have no problems. But in a state like this where they've got no pieces developed, it's a little bit difficult for them. We mentioned in the game that we've got our pieces out ready to go. So they're losing tempo in terms of getting their pieces out. Their king is still suffering from back rank issues at the minute. It's not safe. So just because you've won a pawn doesn't mean you're winning the game. It's very crucial to get that in my own mental Rolodex. Just see what damage was caused during the game. So it's still showing minus for us at the minute. Doesn't like the bishop move. Well, we thought we were being a little bit arty, didn't we? You know, attacking and looking to see if we can get a back rank mate. It sometimes happens. You've seen the games where we've had crazy moves done to us. Okay, so what's this saying? Knight g4. It's basically jumping into g4 here, already attacking the area. We did mention that type situation as well. Doesn't look too meaty. So I want to just break this down. Knight g4. What is it really doing? Suppose it's attacking this and it's kind of forcing them to defend. So we're coming here and it's saying h3 actually. Hitting the knight. So it's not bothered about that there. And then it's knight e5. Bring the knight here. It's making the knight dance. Well, it's attacking the pawn here, but the pawn's just going to drop, isn't it? d4. And then does the knight jump into here? Knight d3. Then it's jumping into here, attacking another pawn. Ah, very nice, very nice. Okay, so it had a bit of movement with the knight. Attacking pawns, disheveling them all the time. And then it's got a power base here. Although it's not a major power base, but you know. And then it's saying bishop e3. Oh, that's a nasty one, isn't it? Just blocking the whole show. Blocking the whole pathway for the rook. Bishop f4. Now it can attack it. It's giving them a lot of things to think about, isn't it? Wow, nice one. I like that touch. Yeah, very good. Yeah, so it didn't like our attempt at bishop exchanging type thing. Understood. Fair enough. But they didn't take advantage of it. Bishop takes d2. Oh, what was that? Okay, so they should have done h3. Okay, what's that got to do with the price of chicken? Okay, fair enough. Well, they hit the bishop, we took, and it gave us a slight advantage again. Alright, so I'm fairly happy with that. I'm okay with that, yeah. We had rationales for everything, and in the back of my head I did know it was a draw, but I was thinking, well, maybe they're going to make a mistake. Yeah, so then from there, it's just taking advantage, because it was a draw, wasn't it? So they made a mistake somewhere. Yeah, and we saw this when they went there. Yeah, so they shouldn't have gone there. That was the problem. I thought, oh, this looks like a Zugzwang thing for us. We can, at long last, not get Zugzwanged, because we have this pawn that can do some movement, and their king's going to be behind. So yeah, they shouldn't have done that move. It's saying knight e2, so basically moving the knight around. I mean, the king can move, maybe not to there. Yeah, king can move, because I can't get up here, he can't get down here. So he could just do a merry dance up and down.